What's a skill everyone should learn? Story 1. Communication. As much as people think they already know enough or think it's not important, they're wrong. Communicating, regardless of whether it's verbal or through writing, is a skill that can be applicable in many areas and can most likely help you in some way or another. Story 2. How to be happy alone. I swear to God, my Facebook feed is nothing but my 30-year-old friends whining and crying about being alone. I'm divorced and I've never been happier. I don't understand what's wrong with these people. Story 3. Anger management. Of all the emotions, anger is the worst. It can help you justify anything: murder, rape, thieving, and is triggered more often than love, the opposite emotion that can also help justify many actions. Once you have control of your anger and understand where the anger is coming from, ego, mental complex, etc., you become a whole different person to yourself and to everyone else, and your life changes. Story 4. Understanding mental health basics. Not just to help ourselves navigate through tough times, but to be able to offer support and understanding to those around us. Mental health awareness can lead to a kinder and more empathetic society. Plus, it empowers us to recognize when professional help is needed, for ourselves or for others. Story 5. Learn to become handy. If something is broken, always try to figure out what it is and if you can repair it yourself. Recently, my bathroom toilet was leaking because the flush valve was broken. I went to Home Depot, bought a new one for $15, and installed it in 10 mins. A plumber would easily charge you over $100 for this job, and you'd have to wait a few hours or days for them to show up and fix it. Story 6. Time management. Mastering time management can reduce stress levels and lead to better opportunities both personally and professionally. Story 7. Self-respect. Don't let anyone dominate you, walk on you, or put you down. Believe in yourself, stay strong, have the strength to walk away from anyone or any situation that makes you feel bad about yourself or doesn't feel right. Being alone and loving yourself is better than being in a relationship or group that makes you miserable. Love yourself. Story 8. Anything that will enable a person to survive in minimal conditions in the short term, lighting a fire, filtering water, making simple meals, etc. If he/she is driving a car, basic repair knowledge that will enable him/her to get to the nearest service center in case of simple stranding. Practical first aid knowledge for common situations, foreign object in the throat, epileptic seizures, burns, heart attack, respiratory failure, etc. Knowledge of personal finance that will enable one to create an efficient budget and even make simple personal savings and investments. Basic but important oratory and communication skills. Story 9. Critical thought. Seriously, a lot of people today don't seem to bother thinking things through or put a lot of thought into their ideas. I just want the populace to actually look at what's presented to them and actually scrutinize it before believing it, myself included. Story 10. Basic statistics. Helpful in so many areas in life. Took it as a senior in high school instead of calculus. Definitely use what I learned from that class on a daily basis. Story 11. One skill everyone should learn is effective communication. It's essential for building relationships, resolving conflicts, and achieving success in both personal and professional endeavors. Story 12. Problem solving. The ability to solve problems may seem simple, but it's a skill you can improve over your lifetime. Solving your own dilemmas doesn't mean you never ask for help. Story 13. Cooking people. No matter what gender or age should know how to feed themselves. You would be surprised how much money you can save just making stuff from scratch. But if that doesn't fit your lifestyle, you should at least know how to read the back of a box and feed yourself. If you should learn how to garden. Even if you don't have a garden, you should learn about where your food comes from so people stop posting GMO videos every time a tomato is shaped funny. You know what you should worry about perfectly uniform food when that's not how food grows? Story 14. The basics. Filing taxes if you are American, cooking, cleaning, laundry. Just basic things that may be minor but play a part in everyday life. I knew none of this when I moved out and had to learn over time. Luckily, I'm not American, so I don't have to file my own taxes. But we should be taught how taxes work and how terrible the UK government is. Story 15. How to learn a new skill, which nowadays amounts to knowing how to search for resources online and how to follow the instructions laid out by those resources. If you want to do something, and that thing doesn't require specific tools, etc., that you don't have, you can do it. Somebody has already told you how in as dummy-proof a manner possible. Just do what they tell you to do. New skill. Story 16. Minimums. How to safely handle a firearm, even if you don't own one. How to cook a few good healthy meals. How to sew, enough to fix a garment. How to change a tire, check the oil, Know what the dash lights mean? How to properly clean a bathroom, bedroom, living room. How to do laundry. How to swim. The power of forgiveness of others and of forgiving yourself. Story 17. Basic first aid and CPR. Anyone can make a huge difference in the first few minutes. Platinum 10 minutes. And in the first hour, golden hour, of an injury or in a sudden onset of a medical condition. So many lives can be saved just by applying pressure to an arterial bleeding or recognizing the symptoms of stroke. Learn first aid, people, and let's help out each other more often. Story 18. Computer literacy, at least on Windows systems. Understanding how a file system works, browsing folders, familiarity with file types, etc. Basic keyboard shortcuts, connecting to Wi-Fi and when to and when not to. Basic security knowledge, ability to use search engines effectively. I'm sure I've missed some basics. I've just seen way too many people that have little or no understanding of these topics. Computers are ubiquitous. Story 19. People should understand money and interest rates. Invest your money. Don't rack up credit card debt. You'd think it was simple, but many people ignore how important this is. Story 20. Swimming. Don't live near water. Go on a cruise. Go over a bridge with water underneath. Go on a plane flying over any of the oceans if you don't know how to swim. I've met so many adults that invite me to go swim at the beach when they're only comfortable with water at their knees. Story 21. If you can work on anything mechanical, using manuals and blueprints, you can teach yourself almost anything else. With that and a basic grasp on math and grammar for writing, that's the foundation for being able to be a productive member of society. You should also know how to swim, do first aid, know how to start a fire without matches or a lighter. Firearm safety is a must too. Story 22. Basic mechanical skills. How to change your oil, how to change a tire, basic maintenance of a car. I can't tell you how many people don't even check their oil, let alone change it themselves. Plus, it's a hell of a lot cheaper to change your oil tire yourself. Shops overcharge a ridiculous amount. Story 23. Basic housework stuff like cooking, cleaning, and laundry. Everything that your mom probably took care of while you were growing up. And so that people don't get pissy. Things your dad took care of like mowing the lawn and shoveling the sidewalk, snow blowing the driveway, and garbage can washing. How to change a flat tire? I don't know. Just watch dad advice on Instagram, YouTube. He's got a lot of good info. Communication. When I ask my wife what's wrong and she just says nothing, I'm gonna stop there and not keep asking because I'm not playing that fucking game. If something is wrong, say it. If you want to go out and eat, say it. If you know where you want to eat, say it. I'm so fucking tired of that game. Story 24. How to ask questions, then put them into Google. Learning really is that easy nowadays. I've done plumbing, mechanics, learned tons of skills. If you can simply look things up online, then there's not many skills you can't easily learn given enough time/effort. Story 25. Basic vehicle maintenance. You should know how to change our own oil, tires, check your coolant, washer fluid, bulbs, etc. You shouldn't be driving around with no idea how to do the most basic things. It may sound dumb, but there are people out there that don't even know how to pump their own gas. Story 26. Being aware of others around you, not always about yourself. This went way down since the pandemic, but people have gotten so fucking selfish lately. Walking, driving, behaving in public places. Brutal. Just take a fucking second and think, am I being a fucking prick right now and messing up someone's day in any sense? And maybe you'll step to the side of the sidewalk when you decide to go on your phone. Or you'll not act like a psychopath on the roads putting others in danger, BC. You can't stand to wait an extra fucking minute. People generally suck now. Think of others for a moment and it can benefit everyone instead of just yourself. Story 27. I feel after 47 years, the one thing I appreciate the most is learning to be alone but not feel lonely. Society keeps us on our toes that we never make the time for ourselves. I just feel we need to learn who we are and what makes us happy. I feel this leads to genuine happiness. Story 28. Sewing and mending things. So many people trash clothes just because a small hole appears or a small stitch needs to be fixed, when it's very easy to fix them from home. I've done it many times. A tip is to turn the garment inside out so the stitches aren't as visible on the outside side. Story 29. How to fix stuff instead of throwing it out. So many people just seem to throw things out. Mower not running and hard to start. They've never cleaned the air filter, and for $5 they can make it good as new. Instead they say, yeah, well, it's easier to just get a new one. That's just one example, but I'm sure we've all heard heaps of similar stories. Blows my mind of how much money people waste due to laziness. Story 30. Basic financial management. Should be taught when we're at school, maybe it is nowadays. It wasn't when I was. Cooking skills. Physical and mental health management, communication and debating skills. Story 31 obligatory headcanon for me. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects. Robert A. Heinlein. Story 32. Touch typing. If you work in an office environment, learning to touch type might be the single biggest time-saving technique of your entire life. Even if you only get to be a semi-competent touch typer, you'll be able to type as fast as you can speak. Story 33. How to yield in business. Known as picking your fights in school, but learning how and when to yield effectively is a massively useful skill. I still suck at it. Not being a doormat, but when to open the door to the person behind you rather than shoving to go first. Merging in traffic is another good example. Story 34. I learned a hard and bumpy way to ask people about their issues. Things that might become a problem later on if you don't consult them about it right away. If you plan to have any sort of relationship with them, friendship, platonic friendship, romantic or open. Same goes for every kind of relationship. Saving relationships is actually a skill that can be trained. Story 35. Basic interpersonal communication. Communication in general. Like the relationship advice subs, 90% update that, "Oh, I just finally was open about how I felt and things are working for the better." Oh shit, really? Yeah, for the rest of the posts, some people are truly in situations they just need to get TF away from, but most seem to be solved with basic communication. Story 36. How to find general information about a problem. The ideal that some people have no clue and blindly trust others to not rip them off or lead them wrong is crazy to me. The more information you know about the problem, the better you can solve it. Rattle in your car and you just drive it to a dealership to fix it. You are surprised at the bill, but instead, you narrow down the issue, so like rattling or right side of my car. You can figure out the cost, so you don't get scammed. Story 37. Car repair, basic home repairs, cooking. I wish my dad had taught me those. I can't say my mom or dad really cooked, though. He was my main parent and opened cans, but that's good enough. But I wish he had taught me the basics in other areas. Story 38. Sign language. It's not much of a skill, but it's something I believe everyone should have at least a basic knowledge of because it's our job as hearing people to make the lives of people with disabilities, in this case, deaf people, just as easy as ours. Story 39. Cultivating your own basic homegrown crops. With weather and the like getting more chaotic and unreliable, get practicing now so it isn't such a shock later. Windowsill pots are valid. I don't have a garden, but I have herbs and smaller things on the go, lettuce, etc. My friend does have a garden and has given us access as a friends group to grow our own veggies. It's our personal community garden, plus she doesn't have time to take care of it, so sharing is caring. Story 40. Construction is definitely one. Being able to build and do DIY will help one conquer most problems. I saw first aid a lot, which is another good one to have. I think as long as you have these two, you can be pretty self-sufficient anywhere you go. Some people interpreted this question as soft skills instead of hard skills. In terms of soft skills, all of them overlap with communication. But looking at things from a survival standpoint, the biggest soft skill to have is manipulation. Manipulation is using people skills to get what you want, but this is how sales is done. You can talk your way out of being executed or even talk your way into power. Being able to persuade people and know how they'll react to certain things is a huge asset. Manipulation allows you to obtain anything you need without having to work or fight for it. Story 41. Just knowing the basics about how your car works will make things much less stressful when things go wrong. 99% of issues are not really that big of a deal and trivial cheap to fix. I've seen people in my dealer in tears over $40 sensors that basically do nothing but turn your check engine light on when it fails. It's just hard to convey when issues are truly trivial, and when something is actually a concern and we aren't trying to just make money off of you. Story 42. Basic home electronic repair. How to safely replace a light switch or outlet. Yes, this includes how to do so up to the proper building codes and regulations wherever you live. Just the basics of how to safely work with the electrical systems in your home in general. Basic electronics repair, especially with some common points of failure, such as learning how to identify a ruptured or drying up electrolytic capacitor, learning how to seek out a proper replacement and install it. As an add-on to that learning at least the core basics of proper soldering, This skill alone can save you thousands of dollars on repair bills for easily fixable problems. And while it's nice to have some fancy iron with all the switches and dials and tips, it's perfectly acceptable to get started with a cheap one from Amazon and just start fucking around with some old boards from some junk electronics to practice.